Second World War, the Americans had made in their entire history about 360 tanks. By 1945, they made 68,000 tanks. That was a staggering bit of manufacturing. And the point was, the American army in the 30s was a cadre army. It did the training, it did the testing, it wasn't very big. But they learned a load of lessons from tech. And summer war, the American war plan was, we will throw resource at the issue. And that's exactly what they did with the Sherman. They sent their engineers to Europe in the early 1940s. They looked at what was then considered the best tank in the world, the French Sharpie tank. You can see that inside the museum. They copied it, and that was the American M3 Grant tank. Again, you can see an example inside the museum, done in the hull, anti-tank done in the turret. That was an intriguing model. What they really wanted to build was this tank you'll see, the M4 Sherman. And the Sherman tank was produced in prodigious numbers, over 50,000. And that is a fantastic speed in manufacture. To be able to put together a tank that quickly, put them into service, and manufacture so many of them. Not only does the American Army use them, they can supply them to the Commonwealth armies, and also to the Russian army. Famously, the Russian archives print out all the photographs, not all of them, but most of them, showing that it was American Sherman tanks that helped the Red Army, along with their T-34 tanks, and also it was American GM6 trucks, used in the half track, that basically kept the Red Army going. So that American quality and quantity of manufacture was quite outstanding. Now here we've got two Shermans armed with 75mm guns. Those were the guns that go into service early in the war. Our Sherman that was used in the Fury movie that belongs to the Tank Museum, that's got the largest 76mm gun, so only a millimetre bigger, but you can tell by the length of that barrel and the fact they put a muzzle brake to help stop the recoil passing through the rear of the tank, that you can see it's got much bigger firepower and velocity. And the very last vehicle looks Sherman-ish, but with a big star on the front. That's something called a Hellcat, and that dates to an earlier American idea that we don't want our Sherman tanks taking on enemy tanks. They're cruiser tanks. They're to exploit the gap that has been made in the front line. They were the ones that were supposed to go off and do all the damage. If we met enemy tanks, we were going to use our tank destroyers. That was the theory behind it. And the Americans started building tank destroyers on half-tracks, on all sorts of different vehicles. This particular version, the Hellcat, ended up with a really powerful engine in the back, very thin armour, so it didn't have much in the way of weight, and a radial aircraft engine. In fact, the Continental Air Corps radial in the back, and that gave it up to 50 miles an hour on the open road, which is a ridiculously high speed for an armoured vehicle. But the whole point of that was, if you could whip around the battlefield quickly enough, hopefully you wouldn't be knocked out by the enemy. That was the idea behind the tank destroyer scheme. So this Hellcat, designed in 43 by Buick, and there's some very clever design features on it, but they found, of course, the theory of having your tank destroyers in the right place at the right time a bit problematic, and it fell out of favour with the American Army, and that's why we have the arguments of the famous Sherman tank not being the match of the Panther, when really it was never designed to be that in service. Hellcats, however, do see action throughout the war, or at the end of the war, and they've got, it was the most successful tank destroyer that the Americans put into service. They did some analysis after the war, and certainly in terms of vehicles destroyed, the Hellcat comes out best for the number of losses of its own type of vehicle. Very fast, very speedy, as you'll see when it drives around. So the M5 version, the upgraded version of the Stuart tank, extra armour on the side. They take out the front-facing driver's hatch, giving a round hatch on the top of the tank. The problem was they didn't increase the firepower, so the Americans went on to create another tank called the Chassis, and that had more firepower. That had a low-velocity 75mm gun. Again, very fast vehicle, because if you're a reconnaissance vehicle, you want that extra speed, because quite simply you're not going to have the level level of armour and protection as the main battle tank would have, or a bigger tank. In the British Army, some of the Stuarts, they took the turrets off the top because they liked the speed of the vehicle. They thought the firepower was almost insignificant, so why bother with it? It didn't make ourselves faster, and they were called shorn off in some of the whips around the battlefield as rescue vehicles. The others were used as gun trucks, and the British current crop was used as a gun truck and tank truck. Now you'll be able to see some of these tanks again in a little while because we're going to be using them in our battle scenario a bit later on. Here's the Sherman driving around now, both privately owned. We're very grateful for the owners to bring them along here today. You can imagine owning and maintaining a tank, not an easy business. Moving them around is quite hard work, very expensive, so we're very, as I said, grateful they've come down here. And also the owners, of course, have had that luxury and delight of being able to add lots of kit to all of their vehicles here, so they look stowed, a bit like our Fury tank does, that we've left all the kit on it that was used to make the tank look a late war version being used by the Americans in Germany in early 45. That's how they did it up for the war movie, The Fury, and we've kept all that kit on it to make a bit of a contrast with some of the other vehicles in the museum.